Yes, folks, it happened. We live in the reality. We live on the timeline where John Cena actually turned heel. Less than 24 hours removed from that, and I'm still buzzing. It's going to be hard to do this episode, I'm not going to lie, just because it's crazy the fact that John Cena turned heel, but nonetheless, it happened. Let's get into it, and let's also predict the WrestleMania 41 card. We have quite a bit of information now to the point where we can put things together and go ahead and look at what this card can look like fully. So I plan to do that in this episode of the Wrestling is Bullshit Report. Going to be super fun, guys. We'll get into the predictions thing very soon, but before we do, let's get into the results. Let's get into everything we missed if we didn't watch any wrestling this week. Only two bits of results. The first thing happened on Raw. It was the Judgment Day, specifically Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez capturing the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship against Bianca Belair and Naomi, and it's a good situation. It's a good thing. I think Liv Morgan has been doing some of the best work of her career. She just came off of that really subpar and mediocre run with the Women's World Championship, and now she has the Women's Tag Team titles alongside Raquel Rodriguez. I think it's a good move for sure. We'll get into more of that as the WrestleMania 41 card prediction takes place. But the second piece of results, which I'm going to fly by, are ultimately just finding out what to expect from that Elimination Chamber premium live event going into WrestleMania. Two or more matches have already been established. I think Naomi and Jade Cargill is definitely a match that's going to happen at WrestleMania. Who's going to be the face? Who's going to be the heel? We will find out. I think we already have this money match that is solidified to main event night 2 and Cody Rhodes and a heel John Cena, which is fantastic. And then we also have Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, which was also established from the women's elimination chamber match. So that's a lot of fun there as well. All good things. The Elimination Chamber gave us just what we needed to predict this card for WrestleMania 41, which is what I plan to get into right now. I also have a surprise at the end of this prediction. Some of you will like it, some of you will hate it. Nonetheless, guys, let's get into it. We have 7 matches on both nights, 14 matches total for my predictions of the WrestleMania 41 card. Of course, we're starting with a match that we already know is going to happen. There's going to be quite a few of those, of course. We have Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. Seems like WWE made a pivot with this match, which was quite interesting. We knew that fans were going to react negatively to Charlotte Flair. WWE was seemingly overwhelmed with that negative reaction to Charlotte winning the Rumble. So they went ahead and seemingly made Charlotte the heel. And because Tiffy is so over, well, I do think she's best as a heel, but because, like I said, she's so over, they went ahead and made her a babyface, which can possibly work. We'll have to see how this match goes. I'm not going to lie. I have not enjoyed anything from Tiffany Stratton as a babyface yet, but that doesn't mean that all hope is lost. Let's just see how they build this match, and let's give Tiffy some reps as a babyface. She was great as a heel. She's a very unlikable person, in my opinion. At least her character is. I don't know how she is as a personal human being, but the way that her character has come off on screen from NXT to the main roster over the past few years, she's been really easy to dislike and a fantastic heel. Now that we're going the babyface route with her, seemingly, we'll see how this goes. We will see how versatile Tiffany Stratton truly is. Nonetheless, this should be a money match, and kudos to WWE for making that adjustment on the fly. In my opinion, they could have kept Charlotte a face and Tiffy a heel. It's okay to let most of the fans root for the heel in this situation. They don't do that. They go ahead and they make Tiffy the face and Charlotte the heel, which will be quite interesting. It should lead to a unique WrestleMania match, and I think that they can get this done. We just have had a couple hiccups, specifically with Tiffany Stratton, in my personal opinion. I don't know if she's going to be able to pull off this babyface situation as well as a lot of us think that she might. We will find out. Nonetheless, match number 2 after Tiffy and Charlotte for the WWE Women's Championship is New Day versus War Raiders for the World Tag Team Championship. I think this is fantastic, whether you double down on War Raiders and make them a dominant tag team over there on Raw, or you go ahead and give New Day the belts for doing some of the best work of their career. You can go either way in this match, and it would just be a really fun match. Sami Zayn versus Logan Paul. Hold on. I know some of you may think that that's ridiculous, but in my opinion, the story writes itself. If Sami Zayn is medically cleared to wrestle at WrestleMania, I think a match with Logan Paul would be good. It's a situation where Logan Paul doesn't really have anything to do, and it's a situation where Sami Zayn doesn't really have anything to do. So if you kind of make this babyface in Sami Zayn, or continue this babyface in Sami Zayn, where it's all about integrity, honesty, and respect for the sport, and then you take a guy like Logan Paul and run with him on all the things they've been running with in terms of being a top level heel, Logan Paul as this entitled social media guy who's gotten a lot of success pretty quickly in the world of wrestling, taking on a very integral part of what was the beginning of NXT all those years ago, and just a guy that we look up to in terms of integrity, respect, responsibility. The story writes itself with Sami Zayn and Logan Paul. It really does. They are two opposite sides of the spectrum, at least character wise and probably real life wise. So I think this is a money feud that could happen at WrestleMania this year. I'd be super excited to see it. These two guys don't really have anything to do yet. The story writes itself. That means you should do it. Match number 4 for night 1. LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura, U.S. title. We've already established LA Knight as the number 1 contender on this past episode of SmackDown. So go ahead and have a rematch with Shinsuke Nakamura. Maybe LA Knight regains the title. I think that's more than probable. And we get this U.S. title back on Friday nights more often than not. I think that's going to be a money match, even though we've already seen it. I would still like to see it at Mania. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This is all but confirmed. Jade Cargill viciously attacked Naomi just before the Elimination Chamber match started for the women. And it's going to be interesting. It seems like Jade Cargill will be the heel, but I think if you want to delay a Jade Cargill heel turn and have Naomi turn heel, that could be interesting as well. We'll see how that goes. I think nonetheless, these two women are on a collision course for WrestleMania, and they are both worthy of having a main card match at WrestleMania this year. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. I think this triple threat has been teased at the Rumble. It was further continued at Chamber just without Roman because he was not on the show. This can be a situation where you play out the story between Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Paul Heyman. This could be a situation where you say the winner of this match will get a shot at the undisputed WWE champion somewhere down the line. I think that's the best way to go. It makes sense. They've been building the story for this triple threat match to happen. And then you go ahead and add the stipulation of the winner of this match gets a title match somewhere down the line. I think that's perfect. Match number 7 of night 1 is, of course, Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not much to say about that one. It's been confirmed for a pretty long time that we're going to see that. Let's get into night 2. So we've had 7 matches on night 1. That's Charlotte versus Tiffy, New Day versus War Raiders, World Tag Team titles, Sami Zayn versus Logan Paul, LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Triple threat winner goes on to get a WWE title match somewhere down the line. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. You tell the story with Paul Heyman, Roman, and CM Punk in that match. And then last but not least, to main event, you have Gunther versus Jey Uso, World Heavyweight title. 7 matches on the night 2 card. Let's get into it, folks. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, Women's World Championship. We already know that that's going to happen. Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles, fatal 4-way match for the Intercontinental Championship. I think you can tell a lot with this story if you do a fatal 4-way, especially if Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor are in it. They've already been teasing some tension between those two Judgment Day members, so go ahead and pull the trigger, and you give yourself a variety with the decision making of who's going to win this match. Does Braun Breaker win this match? Does Braun Breaker go on to continue his IC title run? Do you put the belts on AJ Styles? You totally could. He's more than capable of being a successful Intercontinental Champion. He's done it before. He could do it again. And then you have this Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio feud that we're building up here seemingly, and you go ahead and plant the seeds and further that story in this fatal 4-way match. Match number 3 is Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. They kind of built that match up in the Chamber last night. It looks like we are going to get Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. These are two stars that have been developing over the past few years quite positively. I am rooting for Drew McIntyre to get some more momentum in this match. I think Damian Priest is fantastic. I just think Drew needs the momentum more than Priest does right now, and Priest has a lot more growing to do than Drew does, in my personal opinion. Even though both wrestlers are fantastic, I think this match will be solid. Match number 4 on night 2, Street Profits versus DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns versus Pretty Deadly. 4-way ladder match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. This is simply a celebration of what a fantastic tag team division we've had at SmackDown over the past few years. You go ahead and put them in a 4-way ladder match, 8 men for the WWE Tag Team Championship. I could easily see any 4 of these teams winning. I think we are inevitably going to get a long title run with the Street Profits. If you want to have that start here, you can. If you want to give Pretty Deadly a moment at Mania, I think fans would enjoy that. If you want to get Motor City Machine Guns winning at Mania, you could totally do that. Just have a good time and enjoy this 4-way ladder match. I think that they really got to do this. There's no other way to go about it, to be honest with you. Number 5, man, Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, 3 stages of hell. Yes, I think the 3 stages of hell should return to modern day WWE. And what better way to do it than with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton? You see, Kevin Owens has started off 2025 with a tear. He had an amazingly violent ladder match at the Royal Rumble against undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes. And then he had an unsanctioned match against Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event, which was simply fantastic. A lot of WWE diehards are saying it's one of the most violent matches they've seen in WWE history. So you go ahead and you capitalize on this momentum by bringing back the 3 stages of hell stipulation for Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. And I think that would be ultimately super duper fantastic. So that's 5 of 7 matches on night 2. The 6th match is Rey Mysterio versus Penta. If Backlash is in fact going to be in Mexico City after WrestleMania, which has been a rumor, it's been all but confirmed, then you definitely got to go Rey Mysterio versus Penta at WrestleMania and then run it back in Mexico City at Backlash. That is an absolute must. I think Rey Mysterio versus Penta is going to be a lot of fans' most anticipated match if they pull the trigger at WrestleMania this year. That leaves one more match, guys, and this match we already know is going to happen. This match is going to main event night 2. That's Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. It's already been established that Cena's the heel and Cody's the face, which is ultimately fantastic. I'm going to be super excited to see how they tell the story over the next several weeks and how this match goes at WrestleMania. I think heel Cena is probably the best way to go right now. I don't think you can capture that energy that John Cena brought back in his prime. So what do? You turn him heel. Kudos to you, WWE. I'm looking forward to WrestleMania. Those are my 14 desired matches. That is my card prediction for WrestleMania 41. I know a lot of these matches are already confirmed, but there's a lot of matches here that I think we should hope for in this, like Rey Mysterio versus Penta. We're obviously getting Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Let's see what else we got here. I think New Day versus War Raiders, like that should be on the main card for night 1 at least. Sami Zayn versus Logan Paul. There's a lot of good stuff that we can see here, and there's a lot of good ways to get people something relevant and exciting to do at WrestleMania. And I think that this 14 match card over 2 nights is the best possible way to go, in my personal opinion. I also have a surprise for y'all, man. AEW All In is AEW's biggest show every year, of course. They're doing it in Texas this year because we're talking about WrestleMania, because we have the first pay-per-view of AEW happening this weekend. I figured way in advance, about 4 months in advance here, I would predict the AEW All-In card. I'm going to go through this quickly, kind of a surprise for y'all. But tell me this, guys. This is what I want you guys to think about while I give my All-In card prediction way in advance. If this card was happening, would you be interested in All In? Because I do think that this could be a fantastic card for AEW, what I've prepared for you today. So tell me, did I cook with this AEW All In card prediction? This one we could have a little more fun with simply because there's nothing confirmed for All In. With WrestleMania 41, because we're about 6 weeks away, we do have a lot of things confirmed. So my card prediction for that was pretty much filling in the spaces of things we don't know yet. With this AEW All In card, I truly think like the world is our oyster when it comes to predicting what can happen in the best possible situation for putting on a good show for AEW All In 25. So let's get started, man. We got 10 matches. You know how AEW does. They'll put like 8 to 10 matches on these pay-per-views and just lock it up, load it up. So let's go. We're starting with Kenny Omega versus MJF for the AEW International Championship. Of course, Kenny Omega is fighting for the international title at Revolution. I do think he's going to win that title, and I'll let you know where this is going. But ultimately, I think Kenny Omega retains against MJF, and this creates a situation where the Outrunners can come and beat up Omega after he beats MJF. MJF sides with the Outrunners. The Outrunners side with MJF for this new top heel faction, this new top heel trio, if you will. I think it could work. Our next match is Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada for the AEW Continental Championship. And this is what I'm going to spoil right here, ladies and gentlemen. The winners of both matches are going to meet up in the second to last match of the night, as Kenny Omega will take on Kazuchika Okada to bring together the international title and the continental title, making the first ever AEW Intercontinental Championship, Omega versus Okada. So yes, Omega beats MJF, gets beat up by the Outrunners and MJF after the match. It's all worrisome because we know we know Kenny Omega is going to have a match later in the night, and he's getting beat up to open up the show, to open up the main card. So you tell the story there. You have Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada. Okada retains, and then we have Omega versus Okada later in the night. Number 3, we have a TBS Championship 6-woman ladder match between Mercedes Moné defending against Chris Statlander, Mariah May, Thunder Rosa, Megan Bayne, and Deonna Purrazzo. You have 6 women vying for that TBS Championship in a ladder match. And ultimately, you can really go any way with this. You could have Monet retain, but I don't think that's what people are going to want to see. There's no better way for Mercedes to lose that TBS title than in a 6-woman ladder match at All In. So you can give it to Deonna Purrazzo, who more than deserves it, who is overdue on the AEW women's roster. You can give it to Megan Bayne, who's the hottest up-and-coming star over there in that AEW women's division. You can do a variety of things. You could even give it to Mariah May, who proved to be accountable in having a good title reign while she had that AEW Women's World Championship for a long time, from August to February of 2025. So you have that 6-woman ladder match there as the third match on the card. Fourth match on the card, ladies and gentlemen, is Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet in a Texas death match. It seems like they're going to have a match at Revolution, and the winner will be the number 1 contender for the AEW World Championship. It seems like we're going to get Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland at AEW Dynasty next month. But nonetheless, man, you can go ahead and put this feud away between Swerve and Ricochet, which is a great feud, and you could have it culminate in a Texas death match in All In Dallas, Texas. So I think that's a good way to go. I think that's a must-have. You got to have a Texas death match on this card for All In. You could have a Casino Gauntlet match for the Ring of Honor World Championship, or you could just have it to have it. This Casino Gauntlet match can include people that aren't exactly on the card. And I think making it for the Ring of Honor World Championship can definitely bring some unexpected flair. It could bring up a lot of questions. Who's going to win this match? You could have Sammy Guevara, a Texas guy, win this match. You could have Lance Archer, a Texas guy, win this match just for him to turn on his current tag team partner, Brian Cage. Boom, you have a Ring of Honor main event feud right there between Lance Archer and Brian Cage, which I think both men are more than capable of carrying out. Yeah, Casino Gauntlet match, Ring of Honor World Championship is the winner of the match. Next, we have a Blackjack Battle Royal for the AEW World Trios Championship. This is where AEW can really flex the amazing amount of trios that they are building up, and they should be fleshed out and developed by the time we get to All In Texas later this year. You got Rated FTR, the Patriarchy, the Ops, the Learning Tree, the Don Callis family, the Death Riders, and Undisputed Kingdom. Easy 21-man battle royal for the AEW World Trios Championship. Should be a lot of good fun. Should give some of those people something to do that may run into problems with needing a match for All In. I think Cope and FTR winning this match could be very fun. Rated FTR, I should say. Undisputed Kingdom is another potential winner for this match. They could definitely win the World Trios titles. But, here are 7 trios that you put in a match, 21 men total for a battle royal for the belts. And I think that's a great way to show the world that you have built up your trios division. That could be a lot of fun, and it gives a lot of people something to do on this card. We got 4 matches left, guys. You guys already know about the Intercontinental Championship match, so let's get into it, man. Dustin Rhodes versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship. You have Dustin Rhodes win the TNT title in Texas. Cody Rhodes held that belt while he was in AEW. It's only right that Dustin Rhodes also holds that belt while he's in AEW and has a nice, good reign and gives that mid-card something to try and beat. Dustin Rhodes can be the king of the mid-carders, if you will, with that TNT title. And again, because Cody held that belt, because Cody's the inaugural champion, you could totally justify Dustin Rhodes winning that belt in Texas. It'll be a good moment. It will give AEW's mid card just what it needs. Somebody who's going to workhorse it, somebody who's going to show up on Dynamite and Collision and defend that title. Daniel Garcia has been doing really good. Perhaps this is a situation where you further the feud between Dustin Rhodes and Daniel Garcia by turning Daniel Garcia heel, and that can totally work. I think Daniel Garcia could be a great heel. So Dustin Rhodes versus Daniel Garcia is probably a must match that we should see at All In. I do want to see Dustin Rhodes win the TNT title for a various amount of reasons, and winning it in Texas would be the cherry on top. 3 more matches, guys. Timeless Toni Storm versus Athena. Title for title Texas Bull Rope match. Hey, this is All In. This is AEW's biggest show of the year. So you got to go big or go home, right? You have Athena, who is from Texas, the Ring of Honor World Champion. You put her one-on-one against Timeless Toni Storm, the AEW Women's World Champion, and winner takes all Texas Bull Rope match. High stakes, high stipulations, violent match, money. You do that. There's literally just do that. Please establish a story between Athena, who will be the hometown babyface, and if you want to turn Timeless Toni Storm heel for this situation, you totally can, right? You have them go title for title. This will feel huge. You put them in the Texas Bull Rope match because it's Texas after all, and you really can't go any bigger in terms of the AEW Women's World Championship match at All In, especially if you have a 6-woman ladder match for the TBS title earlier in the night. You put 2 star-studded women's matches on this card, and you can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. 2 more matches, guys. We already talked about this one. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada, AEW Intercontinental Championship. You have a bruised, beaten, and battered Kenny Omega taking on Kazuchika Okada, unifying the international and continental titles into the Intercontinental Championship. It's Omega versus Okada. It's All In. It's Texas. Let's do it. Last but not least, our main event, guys. Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. We end All In with some cowboy shit, right? Cowboy shit, Texas. It's synonymous. It only makes sense. I know Hangman is from Virginia, but Texas has them Cowboys, and Hangman is one of them Cowboys. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put the title back on a babyface Hangman Adam Page, who I think is ready to have a really good reign. Really, things went sour during May of 2022 when not only Tony Khan purchased Ring of Honor, but CM Punk defeated Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. So I totally see Hangman as a babyface defeating Jon Moxley at All In, winning the AEW World Championship. I totally see that as a let's get back to when things were golden and let's go from there, right? I'm not saying Hangman has to have a long reign with the AEW World title. I'm just thinking he's finally ready to be the best version of himself as a wrestler for AEW. Let's put the AEW World title back on him, see how it goes, because that's when AEW was at its best, when Hangman had the title. That was the last time AEW was at a peak. So go ahead and revisit it. See how it goes. Worst comes to worst, you have Hangman versus Swerve at WrestleDream, and you could put the title on Swerve. You could have MJF defeat Hangman for the title. Put the title back on MJF. That's going to work like anything will, to be honest with you. You can count on MJF like you can count on the Sun coming up. He's fantastic. You have situations where you can pivot if Hangman doesn't work with the title, but I definitely think because he's done so much great work, because he's established himself as a solid heel, and because babyface Hangman is going to be refreshing in 2025, you do that. Give the title to Hangman. Let Hangman be the hero. I know Darby was supposed to be the hero, but he wants to go climb Mount Everest. So guess what? Hangman is the guy. Give the title to Hangman. You could revisit Hangman versus Omega. You could do Hangman versus MJF, Hangman versus Swerve, Hangman versus Jay White. Hangman can be the guy. Hangman can be the guy. And then it's just a situation where guys like Ricochet, maybe Swerve turns heel again. Guys are doing their best and putting their best foot forward, because if they know if they strike gold, then Tony Khan's going to put the title on them, right? Hangman doesn't have to have long title reigns. Hangman can totally be the John Cena of AEW, if you will. John Cena would lose the title, win the title, lose the title, win the title. I don't think it should be a constant thing, but I think when AEW finds themselves in a pickle like they do now, the guy that was supposed to dethrone John Moxley, totally said see ya and went to go climb Everest. So you pivot and you go with Hangman, and then you build up a new heel. Maybe you build up Swerve again. Maybe you build up MJF again. I don't know. The roster is there. You build up Ricochet, maybe. You build somebody up. They beat Hangman. They hold the title for a while. And then in a few years, when you find yourself in a pickle again, put the title on Hangman once again. Maybe he's the uncontrollable, violent heel that we just saw him be for quite a while in this next reign. Nonetheless, guys, that's what I think for All In. That's what I think for WrestleMania. I hope you guys enjoyed those cards. I think that is the best possible card that you can put together for WrestleMania 42. And then once again for AEW All In, which we'll see go down in July. I do plan to go to All In July, so I'm very excited for that. Maybe I'm a bit of a mark because I threw the All In card prediction with the WrestleMania 41 card prediction. But hey, while the road to WrestleMania is going, I do think, and this may be corny and super AEW mark of me, but the road to All In is also being established because we have Revolution, Dynasty, and Double or Nothing. And then we're into All In, right? Like they are totally doing everything to build up to All In. By them, I mean AEW. So there you go, man. There's the All In card prediction. There's the WrestleMania 41 card prediction. Let's get back into the Wrestling's Bullshit report itself. I just thought it would be fun to do something different this time. And let's get into the news here. We only have one piece of news, and I'm going to add a little interesting segue from the news to the watch list. You'll see what I mean. And spoiler alert, it is regarding AEW, but I just have so many suggestions for how they should do things just because WWE is firing on all cylinders. It's like when WWE is firing on all cylinders, all I can really do is react to the great work that they're putting out. But when it comes to AEW, a company that's struggling, which I have several ideas and suggestions that can highly improve the way they do things. I'm going to say I'm on this show. So if you guys feel like I'm talking about AEW too much in this particular episode, especially an episode where John Cena turned heel, it's because they need work. It's because they can use help. WWE doesn't need my suggestions right now. They're doing better than I ever thought they could. I still gave you the WrestleMania 41 card prediction because there are some matches I really want to see, like Logan Paul versus Sami Zayn, Rey Mysterio versus Penta. But all in all, yeah, I talk about AEW a lot because they need a lot of help. There's not, I can only react to WWE so much, really, because they're just firing on all cylinders. And what am I going to say? Like, they're going to swerve us. They're going to do this intricate, beautiful, amazing storytelling. And there's really nothing for me to say or do about it. I just sit there in shock and amazement when I watch the program. So if you feel like I'm talking about AEW too much, I'm sorry. I just have more suggestions for them, honestly. Let's get into the news, guys. WWE looks to make NXT after Mania a must-watch attraction. So we all look at WrestleMania week, and we all see the very ending of WrestleMania week on the Monday after WrestleMania, which is the Raw after WrestleMania. But guess what? NXT is just on Tuesday. So of course, WWE is like, how can we make the NXT after WrestleMania a must-watch attraction so that we can keep people in town for another day and get them to buy a ticket to another event? And honestly, I have a lot of trouble with seeing how they're going to make people want to stay an extra day for NXT after the Raw after WrestleMania. But it seems to be one of their goals. And I can't blame them because that just means more money. It's all about the money, especially with TKO. It's all about the money. And I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm not going to comment on that personally. I'm just saying I'm not surprised that WWE is trying to make the NXT after WrestleMania something to stick around for, something to get another ticket to. Do I think they should? Honestly, no. But I have one way that I think that they can make this happen successfully. And that's ultimately making that episode of NXT, the NXT after WrestleMania, the call-up episode, the episode where we find out who's going to the main roster. If they find a way to do that, I know they want to have the WWE draft right after WrestleMania. So if they find a way to make the NXT after WrestleMania a 2-hour episode that tells you everybody that's going to the main roster, that's a good way to do it. Have Roxanne Perez have her last NXT match and say goodbye and announce that she's going to Raw or SmackDown. I don't know. Do the same for Trick Williams, who's probably going to go to the main roster this year. Have that be the call up episode of NXT. Oh, who's going to the main roster? I have to watch because I have to find out. Sure, if you do something like that, maybe that can be cool. Maybe that can encourage diehard fans to stick around, stick in town for the NXT after WrestleMania. That's totally possible. We'll see what they do. When I see this, I just think that it's all about the money. And, it's a business. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. I personally don't live my life that way. As you can see, it says I'm powered by StreamYard. I'm not paying for the I'm using the free version of StreamYard. I'm not balling, I'm not rolling in money. And I could have made decisions in my life to have more money, but instead I picked happiness over money. And not many people do that. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to say, guys, is I see money moves when I see this, for better or worse. We'll see if we'll see if they are able to make it relevant enough for people to want to stick around for the NXT after Mania. I don't really have a good segue for this. This was supposed to be a segue from news into watch list, but I had this weird idea. I understand that Adam Cole took on Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship live on AEW Collision while the WWE Elimination Chamber Premium Live event was happening. So it made me want to talk about this. I think it's straight up totally stupid for AEW to have Collision go head to head with these WWE Premium Live events. No one's watching Collision as is. I would be down to watch Collision for the sole purpose of watching Adam Cole take on Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship. I mean, that's just good wrestling. Count me in. But of course, I missed this episode of Collision. I don't get eyes on the AEW product because I'm too busy watching WWE Elimination Chamber. And you just kind of have to expect that. That's just the reality of the situation. So I don't think AEW Collision should be on Saturdays any longer. I mean, they tend to tape Collision on Thursdays for the most part as is. And what else is happening on Thursday? Yes, Ring of Honor is happening on Thursday. Absolutely nobody's watching Ring of Honor. Sorry, you want to put that one on Saturday? Nobody's watching it as is. Put it on Saturday. You have TNA, which is usually a taped show. I think you can get some people to tune into AEW Collision over TNA on a weekly basis. That's just me personally. Some people might disagree with that. I know there's a lot of TNA diehards that watch every week, and good for you. I don't watch TNA on a weekly basis. Do I tune in a lot more than I used to? Heck yeah, TNA is fantastic right now. But I think from a business perspective, if you wanted to put AEW Collision on Thursday right after AEW Dynamite, you could totally do that. I do think Collision has to get out of that Saturday time slot. It's not working for them. They are not garnering enough interest to go head to head with these WWE Premium Live events, especially when WWE is firing on all cylinders. So get it out of there. Put it on Thursday. I think there's some interesting synergy that can happen there. You have Dynamite on Wednesday, and they're saying tomorrow night, tune back in. They're very close to each other. So you can create a lot of synergy there. If you like what you saw tonight on Dynamite, tune in tomorrow night. You'll see Adam Cole versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship. You'll see Gabe Kidd versus Kazuchika Okada for the international champion or the Continental Championship. Damn it. You can have a good 2-hour episode of Dynamite on Wednesday, save some stuff and build to some stuff on Thursday, have Collision on Thursday because they're so close to each other. Instead of having to remember that something is happening on Saturday, they could say, okay, I'll just tune into AEW tomorrow as well. The fans can say that. So, yeah, I do think AEW Collision should get the heck off of Saturday. That's for personal selfish reasons because I don't really watch wrestling on Thursday. I don't watch Ring of Honor. Most people don't. And I'm not really a huge weekly TNA fan. That's just me personally. Like, yes, I keep up with it. Yes, I know what's happening. I know what's developing every week. But I'm not tuning into TNA live every week because TNA is more of a tape show. So if you run Collision live on a Thursday and that's the Thursday show, I think you can take that. I think you could easily take that. Move Ring of Honor to another day, Saturday. Nobody watches it anyways. So yeah, reschedule AEW Collision. I'm going to stop talking about AEW now, except for the watch list, because we do have an AEW pay-per-view on the watch list. I know I should be talking a lot more about WWE right now, but again, what more can I say? John Cena turned heel. I'm shocked. I have nothing to say. I'm shocked. I'm excited for the match. WWE's amazing. Let's get into the watch list, guys. We have 3 shows in total, and then we could get out of here because we're going on about 35 minutes. And I'm sorry, I try to keep it at 15 minutes, but of course I ramble. But you know what? It's a good ramble. It's a good ramble. You know, I do stay on topic. I do have my topics. I lay them out. They are all pretty current for the most part. Let's get into it, guys. Let's get into the watch list. Let's close this out. Monday Night Raw, we have 2 money matches, ladies and gentlemen. We have Rhea Ripley defending the Women's World Championship against Io Sky. And of course, the winner of that match will go on to face #1 contender Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. It will most likely be Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, which will be a money match. The second title match we have on Raw is the War Raiders defending the World Tag Team Championship against American Made. Another fantastic tag team match happening here for those World Tag Team titles. War Raiders deserve to have these titles, and they're doing pretty good so far. Doing a lot better than the Judgment Day did. Doing a lot better than the Miz and R-Truth did, to be honest with you. So to see American Made get in this match here, the Creed brothers, I think that'll be really good. I think that'll be a great match. Tune into Raw this week. It's must watch. NXT on Tuesday. Kudos to NXT, man. They have been finding ways to interest me, finding ways to get me involved in watching Tuesday nights more often than not. So that's really good. We have Tony D'Angelo defending the North American Championship against Shawn Spears, which of course is a money match, man. Shawn Spears is a decorated veteran. He's a legend of the business, taking on Tony D'Angelo, who is a fan favorite without a doubt for the North American Championship. Should be good. Should be good. Last but not least, guys, on Sunday, we have an AEW pay-per-view, AEW Revolution. Here's a couple of matches of importance that should inspire you to tune in. Will Ospreay faces Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage match. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher have been telling this story for months now. And it's a fantastic story. It's culminating at Revolution in a steel cage match. AEW has yet to put on a steel cage match that doesn't absolutely hit different. So this is going to be good stuff here. Konosuke Takeshita defends the International Championship against Kenny Omega. Omega and Takeshita is a legendary rivalry. I'm glad we're revisiting it and having a title match at Revolution. Toni Storm defends the AEW Women's World Championship against Mariah May in a Falls Count Anywhere match. That's going to be good. I believe they are branding this match the Hollywood ending, and I think this is going to culminate what has been AEW's best women's championship story yet. So you're definitely going to want to watch that. I mean, we have absolutely built a star in Mariah May throughout this process, and we have solidified Timeless Toni Storm as the best AEW Women's World Champion ever, in my opinion. So yeah, you're definitely going to want to tune into that match. We got Mercedes Moné defending the TBS Championship against Momo and Watanabe. That's for my Puroresu guys out there, guys and girls out there. You know, that's for my Joshi fans. I think this Japanese-esque style of Mercedes Moné and her fighting a lot of these international stars has been very entertaining. But I'm a big Puroresu guy. I'm a big TJPW guy. I'm a big Stardom guy. So, of course, I'm going to like what they're doing here. If you don't, that's fine. Just know that you are being exposed to a new style of women's wrestling. And while it may seem different to you, if I were you, I would try to appreciate what's nuanced about it, what's different about it, because it is good. There are reasons that Japan has women-only promotions. There's a reason that Stardom is a exclusively women's wrestling promotion. Same with Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Same with the new Marigold promotion. It's because the Joshi system works. It's because the Puroresu system works. It's fun. I'm glad that AEW is bringing this style of wrestling to an American audience. It deserves to have its place. Nonetheless, guys, we have one more match. We have Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Cope. We will see how good of a match Cope can put on as he main events AEW Revolution in Los Angeles, California. Does Cope still have it? We'll see, man. I have faith that Cope can go at his age and put on a pay-per-view main event for the AEW World title against Jon Moxley. I have faith in Cope, and you should too. We'll see what happens, man. We'll definitely talk about it. If it falls flat on its face, it falls flat on its face. It looks like Moxley is going to have Swerve Strickland at AEW Dynasty going one-on-one next. So if this match falls flat on its face, honestly, I think Mox versus Swerve will be a good one. That's about it, man. That's the watch list. You got Raw, you got NXT, you got AEW Revolution. Three shows with matches of significance on them. But we've talked about a lot of stuff, guys. It's an exciting time to be a fan. We are less than 24 hours away from John Cena turning heel. AEW, your move. Because WWE has got this in the bag. They have been absolutely performing at a high level and just telling these amazing stories and just hitting us with things we never thought we'd see before, i.e., John Cena turning heel. We are officially on the road to WrestleMania. We have about 6 weeks of Raw and SmackDown that will build us up there and complete the card there. And, this weekend we have AEW Revolution, the first AEW pay per view of 2025. Let's see how they start the year off. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if they dig themselves deeper into a hole or if they make an attempt to get out of that by putting on a good show. I mean, AEW's been around for 5 years. They've had scores and scores of pay-per-views, and I've really only been disappointed once. There's only been one AEW pay-per-view that just wasn't absolutely high caliber amazing. And that was that was Full Gear 24. But even then, it was cool to see Orange Cassidy get the main event. Even then, it was cool to see Swerve Strickland versus Bobby Lashley. Like, there's a lot of people that say AEW does not miss with their pay-per-views, and I would agree. Has there been one or two pay-per-views that I thought were pretty subpar? Yeah, but even those were pretty good. So yeah, man, it's a blessed time to be a wrestling fan, and I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna get out of here. So I hope all of y'all have a great week. I hope you're good. I hope you're happy. You know, give your best effort at life. All that corny stuff that I usually say. Let's get after it. Let's have a good week, fellas. Take care.